Now, pandemic guidelines have brought dramatic changes to the way the 2020 presidential campaign is playing out in the United States. Gone are the large-scale rallies and close-up encounters of 2016. Physical distancing also poses a logistical headache for polling day. One reason voting by mail is in focus. But the mail-in vote has critics, including President Trump, as we hear from DW's Ines Pohl.
Over 2/3 of the US voters will be able to make their choice by either mail-in or absentee ballot in the 2020 election, more than ever before in the history of the United States.
This is what this year's election battlefield looks like. Sounds ridiculous? Well, Donald Trump has politicized mail-in voting and absentee voting because he fears that this might lead to a greater voter turnout among Democrats. According to President Trump, mail-in voting is more susceptible to voter fraud. Even though there's little to no evidence for this, he has already announced that he might not accept the outcome of the 2020 election, undermining the most crucial tool of democracy, the right to vote.
He is unfortunately turning into an authoritarian figure, and he doesn't like democracy so much anymore, it seems like. So I think it's really important for all of us to exercise our right to vote. And I'm teaching that to my children, too.
How people want to exercise their right to vote looks different from many in this year's election due to the coronavirus. William Dunlop is a professor at Quinnipiac University of Connecticut, and he has been teaching constitutional and criminal law for decades.
I'd rather vote in person. I'm used to doing that. I've been doing it for 50 years. But because of the pandemic, I just don't want to go into a polling place where people are standing in line, where I'm dealing with people who could be infected, where I have to touch voting machines other people may have touched. So I'm very much in favor of the absentee voting this year at least.
The academic has a very different take from the Republican president. Trump has been sowing doubt about the reliability of this year's election results from the beginning of his tenure.
The biggest risk that we have is mail-in ballots, because with the mail-in ballots, called universal mail-in ballots, it is a much easier thing for a foreign power. It's much easier for them to forge ballots and send them in. It's much easier for them to cheat.
The president's statements raise concerns that he might not accept a defeat and might try to remain in the White House.
There are concerns about his age. Even if the president doesn't refuse to leave, it remains to be seen how his followers are going to take this. They have already been primed to believe that if he loses, this was an unfair election, and that could easily lead to mass resistance, even to violence in the street.
The pandemic damages many aspects of life, even the integrity of the democratic process itself.